first thing we need to do is approve the minutes from the last meeting. So if you haven't had a chance to look them over, do so.
Move we approve the minutes.
I second.
Okay, any further discussion or questions about the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes have been approved. All right, public comment, do we have anybody? No? All right, site plan approval for Seacoast Realty remodel.
Tonight, or this afternoon, we'll be looking at the site plan approval for Seacoast Realty expansion. Charles Kazier with Intercoastal Engineering is the engineer on this one. They are not present. Total acreage is 0.23 acres. This is C1 commercial on the island at 326 and 328 North New River Drive. They will be required to meet the stormwater standards of the town. I don't think it requires a state stormwater permit, so they'll meet ours. The site, that jumped. The site consists of a two-story building and a single-story storage building garage area. The office building houses both the real estate sales and commercial rental offices, while the garage is used mostly for storage related to the rental businesses. The lots are located in the C1 zoning, allowing for office structures as a by right use. The zoning map is included for your use below.
So Amy, they're gonna replace the garage? Is that what they're gonna, or build onto it or something?
Yes, sir, I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
The proposed project will reconfigure the existing Seacoast Realty office and storage building into a single office structure. So they plan on using the two existing buildings and combining them into one. The architectural plan is in your packet that shows that. They have obviously not submitted building plans yet, but they have done the architectural on it. They will also recombine lots at 326 and 328 into a single lot so that they can cross that current property line. The new office building is not expected to impact traffic significantly. The existing driveway layout will remain the same with a one-way traffic circulation pattern on site. The proposed office will be removing the storage aspect of the building, therefore eliminating the traffic associated with the maintenance side of operation. The new space will be used for additional office and meeting facilities, and they are not intending on increasing the number of employees working there at this time, not to say that in the future there won't be additional. A sidewalk will be placed within the right-of-way adjacent to the property line. This will require an encroachment agreement with the Department of Transportation. The office is currently utilizing Surf City Sewer and Water, and the expansion will continue to use these services. We already talked about stormwater will meet the town's guidelines and not state stormwater. The C1 zoning requires that a business provide parking, that if they provide parking, it meets the technical requirements of the town. The site will provide 9 parking spaces, with one of those parking spaces being handicapped. Because it's in C1, we don't require that they meet the minimum amount. According to the ordinance, we just require that if they do install them, they meet our size requirement. So they are meeting that. Previously, they were parking in the right-of-way. We did not show any right-of-way parking on the site plan because, as y'all know, we're cleaning up our right-of-ways and maintaining them better, so we're not allowing that parking in there. The site does have an existing landscape. Wherever they can utilize that existing landscape and it doesn't get torn out, they will continue to use that existing landscape, but they will be adding additional plantings to that to meet the requirements that is shown on your plans as well. And then that architect has worked with town staff to provide additional coastal features from what was originally submitted for the reconfiguration of the building. The architecture renderings are provided for your review. Staff recommends, sorry, I skipped way ahead of myself. Staff recommends that we expand, that we approve this as an expansion of an existing use that is allowed in C1 by right. So if you have any questions, let me know. Mr. Ward?
I'm Dave Ward here. I'm a little confused on the parking requirements. 4,000 square foot building.
If you go and look in our actual parking under the Surf City ordinances, when it talks about C1, there is an exemption in C1 for parking. I believe that may have been glossed over in the past.
Again,
I believe that may have been glossed over previously, but there is an exemption when you look in parking that says basically you do the best you can in C1, and if you can't meet it, then we don't stop your use. And I can pull that up if you'll give me just a minute to get to it. So exception to off-street parking standards, C1 Central Business District. The provisions of subsection B shall not apply to the Central Business District. However, when such spaces are provided, they shall be designed in accordance with the minimum design requirements of this section. We have historically said that C1 is our Central Business District and not the MU areas. So like your building is located in C1.
yeah, I got 24 spaces. Down at the IGA, I know all that space is out in the right-of-way, or was, because it was built in 1954 fundamentally, and I see that being grandfathered in. I just don't understand why we continue to have that, just for my interest.
Because that's what the ordinance currently says in the rewrite that we're going to start soon. As I've talked to a few people about, start making a list of the things that you think need to be corrected in our ordinances, and those are the things that we will work with the consultant to add, one of them being our parking standards. We've discussed that we need to look at it at houses as well, that one parking spot requirement for a 5-bedroom house seems a little low. So those are things to start keeping a list of so that when we start that rewrite this summer, we'll already have a starting point on things we want to look at.
So based on the current ordinance, we really can't even question that. Is that correct?
The current ordinance does not require them to meet the parking requirements. I think they needed 14 spots, and they provided 9. Their minimum was 11, their maximum was 17, and they required 9, or they provided 9. And they had more the way they used to park in the right-of-way, but I have removed that and had them add that piece of sidewalk that's required, so that did take away a little bit of parking as well.
Looks like they need a lazy Susan up there.
They've been doing it as 2 separate parcels with it in between, so these guys have been going like that. Move that we approve.
I second.
Motion to approve, and we have a second. Any other further questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion's carried. All right, the next item, Surf City mini storage.
In your packet tonight is the topsoil self-storage, which is currently the Surf City Easy Mini Storage. John Wall with the Timmons Group is the agent, but we have the owners here tonight to answer questions if you have them once I go through mine. They have provided some additional with the architectural, because if you'll note at the end of mine, I mentioned not moving forward because of the architectural. But we've met a couple times over the past couple of days, and I think we have that worked out to something that's acceptable. But anyway, the site is an existing mini storage. It is on 3.1 acres. It is in the commercial C3 zoning. It's located at 14001 NC Highway 50. It has a state stormwater permit. The state stormwater permit includes the 2 buildings out front, the furniture store and the dehumidifier place. So they do have that. They have been working with Diener to get everything updated on that. There will be an additional pond required, and they will be building that. So in 2004, a proposed site plan was approved. There was probably one prior to that, but that's the one that I could find in my files, including the existing hardware store and 2 storage units. The plan included the addition of a proposed restaurant and a bait and tackle store with associated parking, 9 self-storage buildings with an on-site office, a shop, and an open-air storage area. Over the past 18 years, the site has been modified from the original approval. In place of the bait and tackle store / restaurant, a whole building was built and is now occupied by a furniture store. Also, 5 of the 9 self-storage buildings, the office and the shop, were built. The dimensions of the shop and 4 of the self-storage buildings were smaller than the proposed footprint. However, 1 self-storage building was larger than the approved plan. So they were kind of all over the place in size. You have your vicinity map. I think everybody knows where the mini storage is, but I provided it for your use. So the proposed project is for the parcel associated with the self-storage building only, so that back part that's shown on your map. This project will leave the existing 7 self-storage buildings and the office as is while removing the existing shop. The applicant requests to replace 3 additional climate control, I said climate control, but they are not, there are 3 additional climate controlled buildings in the previously approved area for buildings and open air storage. This will bring the site to 10 self-storage buildings with 1 office building. So the office building that's there existing will stay, and the shop where the landscaping has been working out of, that will be going away, and that landscape business will be moving. So the proposed project is a modified completion to the storage building area. The project also removes an active landscaping business from the site. Staff expects a minimal increase in traffic over the existing condition due to the increase in storage, but the removal of the business. So when I was looking at some of the trip generation, it shows about, in the peak hour, about 0.17 trips per 1,000 square feet of storage. So it is a very low generator during the peak hour. So we do not expect a real change in the traffic with this additional space. The project does not have frontage along any street, so we will not be adding any bicycle or pedestrian facilities. The applicant will be responsible for the installation of a fire hydrant that will be on site on their property that has to do with those back buildings going in. The existing site is serviced by a 1-inch domestic water line. The applicant will install a 6-inch fire main along the main drive aisle to accommodate the fire hydrant, and no other changes will be made to the water that they're currently using. We've talked about the stormwater with NCDEQ, which I still call Diener half the time, so NCDEQ will modify. They're working with them to get that all modified and worked out. They will be building that back basin. Existing parking will be utilized in the office area, and then, as with most self-storage, you'll pull up in front of your unit when you're getting things in and out. A 5-foot vegetated buffer will be provided around the site per the town ordinances. The proposed buildings are a completion of an existing site plan. The applicant has requested to continue the project by matching the existing architecture. Since I've finished the staff report, we have spoken, and you have some additional renderings on in your packet that show the addition of like a Bahama shutter or whatnot to break up that outside wall. So from J.H. Batts, you can see, you'll be able to see the back side of the building, and then when the Rochelle property develops, you'll be able to see the back side of that building. So what they would be doing is just putting those shutters on the back side of the building between the building and the fence, just to kind of break it up and give it appeal. I think this meets our requirements in that we are adding a coastal element, but we're also trying to tie into an existing site that's 70% built out. So we don't want a conflict between the two looks, so they'll be utilizing the same dark green color that the doors currently are. So the shutters will match the existing buildings and tie everything together, but give it that coastal look. So based on the additional information that they have provided yesterday and today, I would recommend approval of the site plan as submitted to complete this existing project and approval of the architectural as submitted.
Amy, does fire have to look at this?
They did, and that's why they're putting in an extra fire hydrant in the back. And they've also, that's why they're building the weird, it's why the buildings are shaped odd, so that the T, the hammerhead turnaround is in there. That's why you've got the curved building there instead of a nice square.
Can a fire truck maneuver in those alleys?
Burton has reviewed it, and he hasn't signed off on it. So those alleys would be considered one way there. So it does meet the minimum width.
And he has full access to all sides of the buildings?
Burton is in class today, but he has signed off on it and reviewed it and has approved it. And that's why we're adding the extra fire hydrant in the back. And that's where you can see the odd little step out on the building is to allow for this radius so that it meets the turnaround requirements for the fire truck.
Also how we selected the location of the fire hydrant. Reach within 400 feet per the regulations from that spot.
There'll be 5 feet of vegetation on this backside where the Bahama shutters are also.
Yeah. Yes, only the top, maybe 3 feet could be visible of the buildings.
I take it that the white areas are the buildings,
Yes, sir.
So,
dark areas are the driveways?
That's correct.
yes, sir, you are correct.
I don't see how a truck can maneuver around in there at all if you gotta have that 20-some foot radius for the hammerhead.
They're 20 feet aisles right now, and the turnaround point is going to be between the two new buildings, which works with that hammerhead turnaround requirement.
I understand the hammerhead turnaround requirement. I don't see how to get around to get to the hammerhead to turn around.
Well, it's a straight shot. I mean, they've come and actually driven their trucks back there. Yeah. So those are existing buildings
Yeah,
that they've
I
driven.
know.
Okay.
But fire trucks can't back up, you know. You know,
They
it's
can
against
back
the
up.
rules.
They can back up 150 feet.
After that, they fall off the edge of the earth, don't they?
But John did look at this and make sure that he was good with it before I came forward with it.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. All right, updates.
So in your packet today is the update, which is kind of what I send out in the government update that Cal sends out. Mine goes out once a month. But this is just an update or kind of a status on where everything is that is actually in viewpoint at this time. As I have mentioned to some of y'all, we're getting ready to, we'll have the public hearing to adopt the land use plan at the February meeting. So if you go to our website, or if you want to direct anybody, the proposed land use plan is on the website. Council made a few changes. We had a meeting in December. They were minimal, but the draft plan is on there. It's on both the ComDev page and the planning page if anybody wants to look at it. We will have a public hearing at the February meeting. Once that's adopted, we will use it as the land use plan, but we will continue to use the 2005 plan as the CAMA plan until we hear back from them that it has been adopted by them. So we have submitted to them, but until they adopt it, we can't use it as our CAMA land use plan as well. So for the next few months, we'll have two separate plans until that happens.
Yeah, just.
And then we'll also, this current fiscal year, I received money for the update for the zoning ordinances. I will be requesting additional funding in the next budget season, and I will also be requesting funding for the technical standards manual, which will be a completely new manual from the planning and street side, and then we will incorporate, hopefully, utilities in with that so that it's all in one spot. So Mr. Price and I have worked together. He's ready to update his as well, so we're going to try to do it as a joint effort. So we have one technical standards manual for the town. So again, if there's things in the ordinances that just really irk you and you'd like for us to make sure we pay attention to, or if there's things in technical standards that you wonder why we don't have, if you just want to start getting all of those together so that in a couple months you can send me that list and we can make sure that those are things we're looking at through this process. And that is all that I have.
There you go.
So number 3, that was that by the S curve? The,
The number 3, the Wellman Construction subdivision, that's the old Heinz Trailer Park up on the north end at, is that Dolphin, where Dolphin comes out. And Applewood Trace did hold an additional public hearing on, not public hearing, public meeting on Monday night. I just received the summary from them right before I walked in this meeting, so I have not looked at it yet. But they had a pretty good turnout. They met in the room back there, and it was pretty full. So,
Fuzzy. Is it warm and fuzzy? Everybody getting along?
Don't you want to get involved, Frankie?
Nope.
They still trying to put the high density in the middle of the site?
they have, so with the new submittal, they have included an access to 17, which was originally, they did mention, for the first time that I had heard it, a timber bridge. So we'll be discussing that, obviously, coming up. They are looking at putting the single family against the existing Turtle Creek with the duplex cottage style in the center, and then the apartments would be kind of towards Edgecombe, and then up where they would have direct access to 17. And then there's a small commercial building shown on that front portion up there. It's like maybe, I mean, it's a very small building.
When do we think we'll hear back from CAMA on the land use? We have no idea.
I mean, Wes will start, so as y'all remember, Wes is our consultant. He'll start bugging them pretty soon because they will have had it for 60 or 90 days. And then he'll start kind of asking on more of a weekly basis, and hopefully not too long. But we wanted to go ahead and start using the land use side of this plan. So council decided to go ahead and approve or vote it now versus waiting until we had that other approval.
Does the planning board have any say in the parking, that, with the paid parking, in terms of hours, days, times, or is that?
Probably not.
If you have a concern,
Yeah, right.
I would talk to Kyle. I've not been involved in that. As far as the placement of it, a lot of that has to do with the core regulations on how close and how many you have to have within, you know, a half-mile radius and whatnot of actual crossovers. So a lot of the placement of it has come from those regulations. Times and when, like, what air charge season is or isn't, I've just not been a part of that, but Kyle would be able to talk to you about that.
So Chug and Grub's still on here? They're still in the process?
They are looking for a new professional to guide them through the process and provide the information that they need to be able to submit to TRC. The architect provided architectural, but it seems that was all he was able to provide at this time. Is he? Okay. Okay, I knew they were reaching out. He wasn't able to get the engineering that they needed for the site plan and the stormwater. So it sounds like they have found someone else and are moving forward.
Did they buy the property or are they just waiting to see?
Yeah, they're looking at, I think it's 2 lots down from Go Gas, right there by the trailer park.
Wait, I think I had them mixed up. I was thinking of the other one. Yes, they are moving forward. That'll be on the TRC agenda this time. Chug and Grub. I was thinking of Callie and the other one. They had to find a new engineer. But we will finish our comments on Chug and Grub this month.
Going on still.
We're pretty busy.
Is that tire place a small business?
It's like an 8-bay building. I can pull it up real quick and show it to you.
You don't have to do it now. I don't want to waste everyone's time on it.
Want to see it?
Okay, Jimmy.
I mean, I'm here until 5, so that's up to you.
All right, thank you, Amy.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Adios.